Hello friends, hello Zion House family. This is your unusual diplomat. It's been a while, so I'm happy to be here filming again for you. And my first thought this morning is to say a really big thank you to every child that participated in our Zion House Canada Founders Grant. I was blown away by all the entries and submissions written by the young people. It inspired me, it encouraged me, and we have a winner, and the finalists have received their grants amounts. And so we are grateful to God that we were able to do this. And I encourage you all, you can make a difference right where you are. It does not have to be something big or spectacular, just one person at a time. So thanks again, Zion House family. You're just the best. And thank you to everyone that has been interacting with our social pages and with our website. Your comments, your reaching out has really encouraged us. And we are happy to be on this journey, on the migrant journey with you, and we know that we will be successful with God's help. So let's get right into it. It's another episode today, and it is a topic that is so important. If you're coming to live in a place like Canada or anywhere in the West pretty much, the weather is a constant thing. So we'll be talking about the weather today. So there is this old saying that I heard a long time ago, and I've never forgotten it. I say it even to my Canadian-born friends every time. And the saying goes thus: no self-respecting Canadian complains about the cold. Here it's a national sport. It is funny, but it is so cold in Canada. If you grew up like me in the tropics, then this is quite cold. Canada can be 30, 40, 50 degrees below zero. For you to know the severity of this weather, your average deep freezer is only minus 18 degrees Celsius. That is 18 degrees below zero. So living in a place where you are reaching low temperatures of 30, 40, 50 degrees below zero, it is not an easy task, and it is not for the faint-hearted. But if you're gonna live in a place like Canada, you have to be well prepared for the weather. And that is what we have tried to do in our past 10 years of living here. And we've learned a lot of things along the way. You know, it's interesting, when I got here in June. So it was summer. It is the most beautiful country to visit in the summer. You see everybody with their houses beautifully adorned with flowers, and the sun is high up there. It's bright, it's shiny. It is like 25 degrees Celsius. So to anybody visiting in the summer, it is the best place on earth. But come September, October, and we begin to hit those low temperatures again. So I chose, this is the end of August. It's August 30 to be precise. And already we're feeling the chills. I'm already pulling out my fall coat because it's getting cold already. Can you beat it? We only have about 3 months of good summery weather. And to tell you again, it takes a lot of adjusting. Your body adjusts to the cold, then it has to adjust back to the winter again. But that is human nature for you. We have great in-depth capacity to adjust to any situation where we find ourselves. So we complain about the cold, we shiver, we are so taken back by it. But then we get to the summer months, and then initially it takes us a few weeks again to adjust to the warm weather because we're so used to the cold. Then it becomes too hot, even in 25 degrees Celsius. So come along with me as I share a few nuggets on how to deal with the cold. So the first thought I would like to share is that Canada has the 4 distinct seasons. So we start in the spring. The year starts ahead from the winter. But I like to start personally from the spring. So spring starts like early March, mid-March, till about till about end of May, early June. Then we hit the summer, and it's beautiful 3 months of summery weather. And then this is the end of August, as I said before. Early September, we begin to hit the fall seasons. Fall to me is the most beautiful season because all the leaves begin to change, and then you have the greens, the browns, the reds, the yellows on the trees. And as it says, fall season, the leaves begin to fall. The trees are also getting ready for what is to come. By the end of fall, which is about late November, all the leaves are falling down already. We have bare trees, and then we begin to experience winter wonderland. It is normal for us in Calgary to have a white Christmas. So you remember the Christmas Eve? I'm thinking of a white Christmas. You won't need to think about it anymore if you live in a place like I do in Calgary, Alberta. You would experience many white Christmases. It is so beautiful. And another great thing about it is not all doom and gloom. It is so sunny even though it is so cold, because the sun in Calgary rises at a 45 degrees angle. And so the sun is hitting the ground directly, but then don't be deceived by it. You have to be prepared. You just need to open your door, and then you will feel the steam coming in, because the inside the house is quite warm and then outside is extremely cold. So what is the first thing? You need to be prepared. You need to be prepared financially first. And what do I mean by preparing financially first? You would need to be mobile. Don't be like me. I came in and I didn't have a car. It was summer, like I said. It was really nice. So I felt the transportation system is quite developed. I can wing it, for a few months. So I thought. But then quickly, as the fall season began, it began to get cold. I was saying that I would need a car. I had lived in England before, where I survived without a car because it is not as cold. I think the coldest that I experienced in the West Midlands was about 5 degrees below zero. But we're talking 30 degrees below zero here on an average winter day. It is tough for you to be walking in that weather without a car, because the cars have good heating. Your home has good heating. So when you're indoors, when you're in the interior of any place, even our office buildings downtown have what we call the +15. So these are walkways that are covered walkways that links every building in the downtown core, so you can avoid that cold weather. So the city has put that in place to help everyone. But for the new migrant coming in without a car, it can be really, really tough. And personally, I would say it is not advisable. You need to prepare. If you're going to be here in the winter, you need to be mobile. And it will take you will need about $8,000 to $12,000 to get yourself a good car as you're coming on newly. So please prepare for that. Your car would have good heating, so you will be fine when you're driving. But as soon as you're out in the open, it is tough. And so financially, again, you would need to invest in good and great winter gear. And there is a shop here called Max Works Warehouse. It took me a long while to discover these shops. I just saw that people were not as dressed as me when I came newly, and they didn't look as cold as I looked. I was all frozen up. You could tell my face was all frozen because I didn't have the right gear. We call it long johns. They are thermal wears, but they are stronger thermal wears. They're really for those people going on winter hikes. And so that store, Max Work Warehouse, has everything you need for your fall and winter season. So you need to be prepared. It can be quite pricey. That is why I said you need to be financially prepared. So you need your long john. Those are the thermal wears that you wear under your clothing. You need your good winter mitts. You can have gloves as well, but the mitts are really good because they help to keep your hands warm together. You can squeeze your hands, warm it, relax your hands while you're commuting. Unlike when you have the gloves will keep the cold coming in. But when you have the meat, you can flex your hands like this, and then it keeps you warmer. You need a good warm hat. You need a long thick scarf. You need a good coat, a good winter coat. So the trick about the coat, you can have a really thick coat and still be cold, because the key to winter dressing up is the layering. You need to wear your layers, because imagine you are out there in the cold walking, but then as soon as you get indoors in your house or in your office or in your school, you will be too warm now to stay indoors. So that's the trick with the layering. So you can pull off your layers as you feel comfortable. So if you had 4 layers on, you can trim it down to 1 or 2 when you're indoors, and once you're going out again, you put on your layers. That way you're guaranteed to be safe and warm enough in the weather. So that's the first thing. And then if you have a car, you need to invest in winter tires. Some people will tell you that it's not necessary, but for me, a few years back, like about 7 years back, we even had winter tires on, but our house is like on a slope. There is a road path from our house. We need to descend from a slope to a major intersection. And the roads were icy that day. You couldn't tell because, like I said, the sun is always at a 45 degrees angle. So everything was glistening and shiny, but it was like a skating rink that day. No car was able to go on the roads easily. Right on that road, the police were there, the ambulance was close by, because there were already so many accidents. My mom had come to visit, and we were taking her back. She was looking forward to Christmas back home in Lagos, but you can imagine we didn't make it that day because we swerved to the other side of the road facing oncoming traffic as a car hit us from the back, and it was a big truck. So I had a small Toyota Matrix, so the impact of the hit from the back on that icy slope just moved us to the other lane where we faced oncoming traffic. It took only God to spare our lives that day. But as you can imagine, that car was written off. We didn't have a car for like the next 6 months, saving up, to get something that was more durable and more winter compliant. So please invest in good winter tires. That car had winter tires on, but the treads were already wearing out. Your winter tires is good to go depending on the grade that you buy for like 2 to 3 years or 3 to 4 years, depending on the grade. Invest in good winter tires. You will not be wasting money. You will be saving your life. And also, another thing that I find migrants do not do, because when you're new in a place where cost conscious, you have to spend money on a lot of things. Another thing is your rescue plan. You need a rescue plan for your car for the unforeseen situation that might arise. And it does arise from time to time. So you need to pay for a rescue plan so that if you're in any crisis, all you do is call the number on the card that you'll be given, and then the rescue will come. Rescue also takes time, because imagine the whole city calling up for rescue at the same time. So before you leave home, you need to be prayerful. You need to trust God with your life in the winter. Honestly, there is no good driver or bad driver on the road in the winter. It is just the grace of God to take you safely from place to place, because you're not really contending with people, you're contending with extreme weather conditions, and you need to use good judgment, but also be prepared. You need a rescue plan. So let me share a few of my own personal stories just to help drive these points home. So the first thing was that I was new. The year was, I think it was No, it was 2010, the exact year that I arrived. So like I said before, I didn't have a car, and it was a school day. The bus had missed the timing. You know, the bus has schedules. The schedules was out of whack already, of course, because of the bad weather. And so I just thought, oh, my son's school is not too far from home. Normally, we will take a bus that will take us right to the doorsteps of the school. So we didn't find the bus. After waiting at the bus stop for quite a bit, it was getting too cold, because you are warmer when you're walking, when you're moving. But when you're stationary, the cold just pierces through your body. So I thought, son, let's walk down and then catch a train, and then we'll take another bus. But as it panned out, we took the train. It was just like the next stop from us. But then the bus still didn't show up. We went to another bus stop, waited again like 5 minutes. We were freezing. And then we had no choice. We were already stuck midway. We had to walk to the school. The walk was about 25 minutes. Can you imagine 25 minutes? It was minus 33 degrees that day. 33 below zero, double the freezer cold, the freezer temperature. So that was extreme. You know, it got so difficult. My son started saying, Mom, this is hard. I couldn't even move my feet anymore because my feet were so frozen. That's another thing, winter boots. So I was wearing a minus 15 degrees winter boots on that day. Our winter boots have degrees. So that you invest in different winter boots, you would need at least like two. One for your spring and your fall season, and the other one for your winter season. So if the temperature outside is minus 33 degrees and you're wearing a minus 15 degrees boots, that means you are not properly dressed for the weather that day. Your feet is going to get frozen, and God forbid you have something that we call frostbite. You know, you will be so cold, your natural tropical instinct will be, let me go dip this in hot water. Then it becomes worse. So the best thing, layer your socks. At Max Works Warehouse, you will find thick winter socks as well. Hiking socks that will keep you warm, but then it might get too warm again when you get indoors. So you see, it takes a lot of planning. Also, because we have 4 distinct seasons, we plan our closet spaces according to the seasons. So there are clothes you would only wear in the summer, and there are clothes you would only wear in the winter. If you have organized your stuff, your personal stuff, according to the seasons, then it helps you a great deal to dress up properly. So as I was saying, we continue to walk. You know, I became teary, and then I saw that even my tear glands were all frozen up, and then I couldn't see my way to walk through. So you just have to be prepared. It was daunting. It was an experience that I would never forget. And another point, be flexible in the winter. You don't have to go to school when the weather is extreme. As a migrant, nobody told me that once the school is not closed, I could use my judgment, you know, because I like to do things well. I thought, oh, we have to get to school. But if we had missed school that date for the cold weather, the child will not be penalized. If you have to miss work because it's so cold, your employer is going to be understanding. So use good judgment when it is extremely cold. They're not going to shut down the city until when it hits like minus 40, minus 45. So you need to use your good judgment on extreme weather days. And then we got to school eventually, but then we had to go back again in that frigid weather. So was it worth it at the end of the day? Not in my opinion. And then another story I would like to share was a day I was going, this was now the following winter. So I now had a car by this time, but then I couldn't decide how to maneuver my car on a snowy road. You know, we heap the snow up on the sides like we heap the sand in the tropics for building houses. So it's so high, you can tell that this is deep snow. But when everything is blanket white, it's really difficult to judge where the snow is deepest. So on this fateful day, I had dropped my son off at the day home. I had an interview that day. It was a long, stressful day. I had been in the downtown core all day. Then I came back home, and what I wanted to do was to, I was on my way home, but I had to pick my son up from the day home initially. So I was already in the community of the day home provider, and I already passed by a house. Then I thought, oh, let me go turn around to be in the direction of my path, when I was driving off. So just turning around on a not so busy cul-de-sac, I didn't know that the snow was quite deep at that point. As I maneuvered the car and turned, I was already, so you can imagine, I was already blocking the roadway. As I tried to maneuver the car, I just saw my tires were revving and they were not moving, my front tires on the left hand side, on the driver's side. So I wasn't used to the car. It was my first winter, you can imagine. So I decided, oh, let me check my car. We did everything by ourselves. We were used to do it yourself. So I came out of the car not thinking. I had the key still in my ignition. And then I came out, I just thought, oh, maybe I could look at the tires and see why it was stuck and why my car wasn't moving. Unfortunately, I forgot that the key was still in the ignition, and I just locked the door. Central lock system was enabled and the car locked me out. And I was here stuck. It was getting really dark. I was in the middle of nowhere. Luckily for me, I had my phone in my pocket, but then that was pretty much my bag, my mitts, everything in the car. I had my coat on, but I didn't have winter mitts on. It was minus 26 degrees on this fateful day. And then I kept trying. I walked up to a few doors. I pressed the bells. Nobody responded. I could tell there were some people in the house, but you see, nobody was. They thought, well, why should they open to a stranger? It was daunting. The car was running. I couldn't get in. It was just a nightmare. And then I tried on my phone to call the rescue. They said, oh, we'll be with you right away, but there is a backlog. It might take us 4 hours to get to you. What was I supposed to do? The day home was closing up in 30 minutes. So luckily I had my phone. I called up the day home and told her, I'm stuck right here. I need to figure out how to move my car from this venue. And then after about 1 hour in that madness, a guy saw me from right across the street and walked up to me. As soon as he said, hello, madam, do you need help? I just started crying because you can just imagine the ordeal. I didn't know what to do. And then I called my landlord, and my landlord said, oh, sorry, I'm out of the country. I'm never in Canada in the winter, so I can't get you the spare keys to your apartment to be able to pick the spare key to the car. So you can imagine I was ill prepared. So since then, I know that I need to keep a spare key to my car and a spare key to my house with, trusted people, so that in the case of an emergency like this, especially when you live alone, you need to be prepared. So the guy had been through something like that before, so that was why he knew I had problems and he was willing to help. So that was my angel that day. It was my snow angel, and he helped me to his house. I met his wife and son. They offered me tea, hot tea, and then they gave me their landline to use, because you can imagine I was racking up the bill on my cell phone, because in Canada you pay for calling and receiving until you have a good telephone plan. Anyways, that was my ordeal, and I don't want anybody to go through it. You need to know your car well, how it works, how the functionality works. You need to be prepared for the weather. Your car needs to be prepared for the winter. You need to be prepared for the winter. And finally, my final thought will be, you need to maintain a good inner weather forecast. especially in the winter months. It gets dark really quickly, and it can be quite depressing, you know, just seeing white for days on ending. It can be quite depressing if you're used to the tropics and the sun. But when you see it all gray and dark, it's not too bad in Calgary where I live because of the sun always shining. But it's just shining sun, it's not warm sun. So you still need to be prepared. So your inner weather forecast can be stormy, it can be sunny, it can be cloudy. You need to make sure you maintain your sunny or at worst cloudy weather, inner weather forecast. Never stay in the stormy zone. You need to work with that. For me, it's God and my faith that helps me with that inner weather forecast. And also, I try to maintain good decor around me. You can see I love yellow. So even when it is dark all around me, I have yellow things all around my house. I have green things all around my house just to keep my moods up, high up there. You know, so, and then think good thoughts. You can't beat that. As a man thinks, so he is. Think good thoughts. Think about good places. I like the mountains. I dream about the lakes, the ocean, you know, the beaches. I just keep good thoughts all around me and keep good people, good friends, and good family around you to help you cope with the changes in the season. But guess what? There is always spring. So it's not all doom and gloom in the winter. It's tough 3 to 4 months, but then here comes spring. March will soon be here again, and we'll be able to breathe a sigh of fresh air. Did I mention to you that even your windows will be frozen? You will not be able to open your windows in the winter. It is that cold. But you know, we look forward to spring where we can open our windows again and go outside the yard and do some spring cleaning. So again, if you're new in Canada, you got to be prepared. You got to stay happy. You need to stay strong. And you need to always look on the bright side of life. So again, it's your unusual diplomat here. I bet this is my longest video so far, but it is for a worthy cause. The weather is a big deal, but remember, no self-respecting Canadian complains about the cold. Here for us, it's a national sport, meaning we adjust to it. We integrate with the weather. Even those born in Canada, they still complain about the weather, but don't let it be all complaints. Look on the bright side. Look at how beautiful. For somebody like me who has many parts, the cold season is the best for my chocolate business because that is the best weather for winter. So cheer up and be happy and stay sunny in your inner self. Till I come your way again next time, it's Life in Eldorado with your unusual diplomat. See you again soon.